Welcome to Sleep Story. Let the soothing cadence of a story weave through your consciousness, lulling your body to rest and your mind to tranquility as you drift into dreams on the wings of imagination.
But said Zhong Fei, because Guangong released the upper stream. So lead the army from the lower stream to kill the future. Intercepted Cao Ren mixed kill. Suddenly encountered Su Chu, they fought with. Su Chu did not dare to fight. Took the road to escape. Zhong Fei rushed, followed by Zhuanda, Ming, together along the river to the upper stream. Liu Feng, Mi Fang has arranged the boat waiting. So all together across the river, all look to Fancheng and go. Ming teach the boat rafts will be set on fire. But Cao Ren pack up the remnants of the army on the new wild cantonment, so that Cao Hong went to see Cao Cao. Specifically said that the loss of things. Cao Cao was furious and said, "Juge village boy, how dare you?" Urged the three armies, roaming the mountains, as far as the new field under the fortress. Ordered the soldiers to search the mountains on one side to fill the White River, make the army divided into 8 roads, all go to take Fancheng. Liu Yue said, Prime Minister first arrived in Xiangyang, must first buy the hearts of the people. Now Liu Bei all relocated to the people of Xinye into Fancheng. If my soldiers into the path, to counties for the fragmented. Not as good as to first make people beckon Liu Bei to surrender. Preparation is not surrendered, can also see my love for the people's heart. If it comes to surrender, then the land of Jingju cannot war also, fuck from its words. Then asked, who can be made? Liu Yue said, Su Xiu and Liu Bei to thick, now in the army. Why not order him to go? Javier said, he went to the fear of not coming back, you said. If he does not come, laughing at people. Prime Minister do not doubt. Fuck was called Su Xiu too. Said, I would like to step on Fancheng. I pity the people's lives. Public can go to say Liu Bei. If you are willing to surrender, free of crime, and give the title. If more obsessed, the people and the army to kill, jade and stone burn. I know the loyalty of the public, so I envoy to the public. I hope not to be disappointed. Su Xiu was ordered to go to Fancheng. Zhuanda, Ming received, told the old days. Xiu said, Cao Cao make Xiu to beckon you. Is false to buy the hearts of the people also. Now he divided his troops 8 ways, fill the White River and into Fancheng may not be defensible. It is advisable to make a plan of action as soon as possible. Zhuanda wanted to stay Su Xiu. Xiu thanked. If I don't return, I am afraid to make people laugh. Now my mother has been lost, and I hold a grudge for the rest of my life. Although the body in his vowed not to set up a plan, the public have Wolong auxiliary. Why worrying about the great cause is not. Xiu please resign. Zhuanda did not dare to stay. Su Xiu resigned and met with Cao Cao, saying that Zhuanda had no intention of surrendering. Cao Cao was furious, so he marched in on the same day. Zhuanda asked Ming for advice. Ming said, we can quickly abandon Fancheng and take Xiangyang to rest. Zhuanda said. 9 people followed for a long time, cannot bear to give up. Ming said, we can tell the people that those who are willing to go with us, and those who are not will stay behind. First make the cloud long to the river bank to reorganize the ship. Make Sun Qian. Jane Young in the city voice said, now Cao's troops will arrive. The city cannot be defended for a long time. The people are willing to follow the people. They will be with the river. The people of the two counties shouted in unison, said, "Although we die, but also willing to follow the ambassador." The same day, crying and traveling, support the old and young, will be men with women, rolling across the river, both sides of the crying. Zhuanda on the boat to sea, mournfully said, "For my one person and make the people suffered such a great disaster, I have no life." Want to throw himself into the river and die, around the first aid stop. All those who heard it cried bitterly. Boat to the south bank, looking back at the people. Some have not crossed, looking south and crying. Zhuanda urgently asked Yuan to urge the boat to cross, before mounting his horse, traveled to the east gate of Xiangyang, only to see the city all over the flags, trench side of the dense antlers. Zhuandi Lahao shouted, "Liu Zhengxiongchen nephew, I but want to save the people, and no other ideas. Open the door quickly." Liu Chong heard Zhuandi arrive. "Fear and do not come out." Sai Mao and Zhongyun came to the enemy tower, scolding the soldiers to shoot down arrows. The people outside the city all looked at the enemy tower and cried. In the city, there is a general, leading hundreds of people up to the tower, shouting, "Sai Mao, Zhongyun traitors. Mr. Liu is a man of benevolence and virtue. He has come to save the people. Why should he refuse?" The people look at him, 8 feet long, face like a heavy date. Is ye young people also, surnamed Wei, name Yan, word Wenchong? At that moment, Wei Yan round knife hat dead gate guards, opened the gate, put down the drawbridge, shouting. Liu Huangshu quickly lead the troops into the city, to kill the traitors. Zhong Fei jumped his horse, and wanted to enter. Zhuandi quickly stopped him and said, "Don't scare the people." Wei Yan just greeted Zhuandi's troops and horses into the city. I saw a general in the city leading his troops out, shouting, "Wei Yan is a nobody. How dare you create a disturbance? Do you recognize my General Wenli?" Wei Yan was enraged, and he came to fight with his spear and horse. The two armies mingled at the edge of the city, shouting loudly. Zhuandi said, "I wanted to protect the people, but I'm harming them instead. I do not want to enter Xiangyang," Kong Ming said. "Jiangling is the key place in Jingzhou. Why don't we take Jiangling as our home first?" Zhuandi said. "This is exactly what I want." So he led the people away from the main road of Xiangyang, and looked at Jiangling. Many people in Xiangyang city fled out of the city and followed Zhuanda. Wei Yan fought with Wenli, and all his soldiers were exhausted. Wei Yan fled, but he couldn't find Zhuanda, so he went to Han Zhuan, the governor of Chongsha. But said Zhuanda with lion army, and people more than 100,000, the size of thousands of cars, picking backpacks countless, passing by the tomb of Liu Table. Zhuanda rate of all the generals, to worship in front of the tomb, crying and said, "Humiliate brother preparation without virtue and talent, negative brother entrusted with the weight of the crime of preparation of a body. And the people have nothing to do with it. Hope brother's spirit, save the people of Jingliang." The words were very sad, and the people and soldiers were all in tears. Suddenly, the sentry horse reported, "Cao Cao's army has tuned Fancheng, so that people pack up the rafts, the same day to cross the river to come also." All the generals said, "Jiangling important land, enough to resist. Now have tens of thousands of people, traveling more than 10 miles a day. Like this how long to Jiangling? If the Cao troops arrive, how to meet the enemy? How about abandoning the people? First for the top." Zhuandi sobbed and said, "Lift the big things must be people-oriented. Now that the people have returned to me, how can I abandon them? When the people heard Yuan's words, they were all sad. A later poem praised him, saying, "He was so kind to the people that he boarded the boat and moved the 3 armies with his tears." To this day, Xiongjiangku is still remembered by the elders and fathers, but Yuan embraced the people and walked slowly. Ming said, "The pursuing troops will arrive soon. We can send Yun Chong to Zhongxia to ask for help from his son Liu Che. Teach him to get up his troops quickly and take a boat to meet him at Jiangling. Zhuanda from it. That is, repair the book with Sun Qian to lead 500 troops to Zhongxia for help. Make Zhong Fei break the back, Zhao Yun to protect the old and young, the rest of the management of the people, and walk. Daily only walk more than 10 miles to rest." But Cao Cao was in Fancheng, and sent his men across the river to Xiangyang, where he summoned Liu Chong to meet him. Cao Cao was afraid to meet him. Sai Mao and Zhongyun invited him to go. Wang Wei told him, "Since General Liu has surrendered, and Zhuanda has left, Cao Cao will be unprepared. I hope that you will organize your troops and set up a dangerous place to attack them. And then Cao Cao will be captured. If you get Cao Cao, you will shock the whole world. And even though the Central Plains is wide, you can send a message to the authorities." This is a rare opportunity that must not be lost, the king's son told Sai Mao with his words. Mao scolded Wang Wei and said, "You do not know the fate of heaven. How dare you talk nonsense?" Wei angrily scolded, "Traitor of the country. I hate not to eat your flesh." Mao wants to kill him, but Kuai Yue stops him. So Mao and Zhongyun went to Fancheng to pay their respects to Cao Cao. Mao and Zhongyun went to Fancheng to see Cao Cao. Their speeches were very flattering. Cao Cao asks, "How much money and grain do you have in Jingju?" Mao said, "The horse army is 50,000 strong. The foot army is 150,000 strong. And the water army is 80,000 strong. A total of 280,000 people. Most of the money and food in Jiangling, the rest of the places, also enough to supply a year," Cao said. "How many warships?" "The original is who manages to lead," Mao said. The size of the warships, a total of more than 7,000, was originally Mao and other to people in charge. Cao then added Mao as the Marquis of Zhenan and the Grand Governor of the Navy, and Zhongyun as the Marquis of Shuishan and the Vice Governor of the Navy. The two were very happy and thankful. Cao also said, "Liu Jingsheng is dead. His son surrendered. I will report to the Son of Heaven." So that young as the Lord of Jingju, the people were very happy and retired. Xinyu said, "Kai Mao, Zhang Yu is sycophant, the Lord Gongwei so prominent title, more taught to supervise the water army." Fuck laughed. "I do not know people, but because I lead the northern part of the crowd, do not practice water warfare, so we have the right to use these two people. To be accomplished after, do not pay attention." Sai Mao and Zhongyun returned to Liu Qiong and said, "Cao Cao has promised to keep General Baozhao in Jingliang forever." Liu Qiong was delighted. The next day, he and his mother, Mrs. Tsai, presented the seal and the military symbols, and personally crossed the river to welcome Cao Cao. After Cao Cao had comforted them, he led the troops accompanying the expedition into the city of Xiangyang. Sai Mao and Zhongyun made the people of Xiangyang burn incense and pay their respects. Cao Cao gave them all good advice. Into the city to the house to sit down. That is to call Kuai Yue close to the front, Soothing said. "I do not like to get Jingju. Like to get the different degrees also." Then sealed Kuai Yue for Jiangling Governor, Fan Chengho, Fuzun, Wang Chuan, etc., a Marquis of Guanay. and Liu Qiong for the Qingzhou assassin, then taught to start the journey. William Williams was shocked to hear the order, said. Williams is not willing to serve as an official, and would like to protect his parents' hometown. Cao Cao said. Qingzhou is close to the imperial capital, so I will teach you to be an official with the government, so that you will not be victimized in Jingliang. Cao Cao refused to allow him to do so. So he went to Qingzhou with his mother, Mrs. Tsai. Only his former General Wang Wei accompanied him, and the rest of the officials were sent back to Jiangku. Cao Cao called Yuan and told him, "You can lead the light cavalry to chase after Liu Kong's mother and son and kill them, so as to eliminate any future danger." Yuan orders, leading the crowd to catch up, shouted, "I was ordered by the Prime Minister, told to kill your mother and son. You can take down the head as soon as possible." Mrs. Tsai hugged Liu Chong and cried, Yuan ordered the soldiers to do it. Wang Wei was furious and fought hard, but he was killed by the soldiers. After the soldiers killed Liu Chong and Mrs. Tsai, Yuan reported back to Cao Cao, who rewarded him. Cao Cao then sends his men to Longzhong to search for Kongming's wife and children, but they don't know where they are. It turns out that Kongming has already been sent to Sanjiang to hide. Cao deeply hated it. Zhongyang established, Zhen Yu said. Jiangling is an important place in Jingshong. Money and food is very wide. Liu Bei, according to this place, urgent, difficult to shake. Cao said, "I will not forget it." He then ordered one of the Xiangyang generals to lead the army to open the road. Among them, when he was missing, Cao asked people to look for him, and only then did he come to see him. Cao said, "Why are you so late?" Said, "As a vassal and cannot make his master to protect the territory, the heart is really sad and ashamed. I do not have the face to see here," said. Sob and sniffle. Cao said, "Really loyal minister. In addition to the governor of Zhongxia, given the title of Marquis of Guanay, then taught to lead the army to open the road." Scouting horse reported. Liu Bei led the people. The day line stops more than 10 miles. Counting the distance is only more than 300 miles. Cao taught the ministries to select 5,000 iron horsemen, night and day. Limit 1 day and 1 night. Catch up with Liu Bei. The army followed one after another. However, Zhuandi led more than 100,000 people and more than 3,000 troops and horses, one by one to Jiangling. Zhao Yun to protect the young and old. Zhong Fei break their back. Kongming said. Yun Chong went to Zhongxia. Never heard back. I do not know what to do. Zhuandi said. Dare to bother the military division personally walk. Liu Che sense of public teaching in the past. Now if you see the public in person, things must be harmonized. Kongming promised. Then with Liu Feng led 500 army, first to Zhongxia, to ask for help to go. On that day, Zhuanda and Jian Young, Mi Ju, Mi Fangpia, is traveling. Suddenly a gust of wind on the horse in front of blowing up. Dust rushing sky. Flat cover red sun. Zhuandi was shocked and said, "What is this omen?" Jane Young quite understand Jin and Young. Sleeve accounted for a lesson. Lost shocked, said, "This is a big bad omen also, should be tonight. Lord can quickly abandon the people and go," Zhuandi said. The people from the New World followed to this. "I cannot bear to abandon it," Young said. "Lord, if you love and not abandon, the disaster is not far away." Zhuanda asked, "Where is the front?" The left and right replied, "The front is the county of Dangyang. There is a mountain named Jingshan." Zhuandi then taught them to stay in this mountain. At the end of fall and the beginning of winter, a cool wind penetrated the bones. Dusk was approaching, and the sound of crying was everywhere. At 4 o'clock in the evening, I could hear shouts from the northwest that shook the ground. Yuan was greatly alarmed and hurriedly mounted his horse to lead his elite troops of more than 2,000 to meet the enemy. Cow troops to cover up. The momentum cannot be taken. Yuan died fighting. At the time of crisis, fortunately, Zhong Fei led the army to kill a bloody road, save Yuan look east and go. When Yu was the first to stop, Yuan scolded, "Backmaster of the thief, still have any face to see people?" When Yu was ashamed of his face and led his troops to the northeast, Zhong Fei protect Yuan and battle and go. Running until dawn, heard the shouts gradually far away. Yuan only then rested his horse. Look at the people accompanying him. There are not more than 100 riders. People, old and young, and Mi Ju, Mi Fang, Jian Young, Zhao Yun, and other people. All do not know where they are. Yuan cried out and said, "Hundreds of thousands of living beings, all because of love for me, suffered this great disaster. The generals and the old and young, all do not know the survival of the people, although the people of the earth and wood, rather than not sad." When he was in mourning, he suddenly saw Mi Fang staggering with several arrows in his face, saying, "Zhao Zilong has turned against Cao Cao and gone away." Yuan scolded, "Zilong is my old friend. I'm willing to go against it," Zhong Fei said. "He now sees us exhausted, or turn against Cao Cao, in order to seek riches and welfare." Yuan said, "Zilong from me in trouble, the heart is like iron. Not rich and powerful, cannot be shaken," Mi Fang said. "I personally saw him cast to the northwest." Zhong Fei said, "Wait for me to personally find him. If I see him, I'll stab him to death," Yuan said. "Do not be wrong to suspect. Don't you see your two brothers to kill Yan Yong when shooting? If Zilong goes here, there will be an accident. I think Zilong will not abandon me." Zhong Fei was not willing to listen, led more than 20 riders to the Chongban Bridge. Seeing the trees east of the bridge, Fei had a plan to teach his 20-odd horsemen to cut down the branches of the trees and tie them to their horses' tails, and then gallop back and forth in the woods, rushing up the dust and thinking that they were suspicious troops. But Fei himself crossed the spear and stood his horse on the bridge, looking to the west, but said, "Zhao Yun, since 4 o'clock, and Cao's army killed, to and from the conflict, killed until dawn, looking for Zhuandi, and lost Zhuandi old and young." Cloud thought to say, "The Lord Wu Gan, be two ladies and small master Ardo, entrusted in my body, today. The army is separated. What face to see the master? How about going to a battle to the death, at least to find the whereabouts of the mother and little master?" Looking back to the left and right, only 30 or 40 riders followed. Yun patted his horse and searched in the chaotic army. The people of the two counties cried to the heavens and the earth. Arrows and guns, leaving men and women to go. Countless people. Zhao Yun is walking between. See a person lying in the grass. See, is Jane Young also? Young quickly asked, "Have seen the two mothers of the Lord?" Young said, "The two mothers abandoned the chariot, holding Ardo, and go. I flew my horse to catch up, turned the hill, was stabbed by a general, fell off his horse, the horse was taken away. I could not fight, so I lay here." Young was the horse ridden by the rider, borrowed a horse with Jian Young riding, and to pawns to help protect Jian Young first to report to the master. "I went to heaven and earth, at least to find the master mother and the little master to come. If I can't find them, I'll die in the battlefield." Said, "Pat horse look Chongban slope and go." Suddenly, a man shouted, "Where is General Zhao going?" Yun Le horse asked, "Who are you?" He replied, I am the sergeant who escorted the chariot under Ambassador Liu's tent, and I was shot down here by an arrow. Zhao Yun then asked the second lady news. The sergeant said, I just saw Mrs. Gan, cloaked and barefooted, following a group of women from the people, throwing herself to the south and leaving, Yun said. Also ignored the sergeant, quickly horse looking south to rush. Just see a group of people, men and women, hundreds of people, and walk with each other, Yun shouted. Inside there is Mrs. Gan. Is not it? Mrs. Zhao Yun in the back, crying loudly. Yun dismounted, and inserted the gun and sobbed, so that the mother of the Lord is separated. The cloud sin also. Mrs. Me and the little master in, Mrs. Gan said. I was expelled with Mrs. Me, abandoned the chariot, mixed in the people on foot, and bumped into a branch of the army horses scattered. Mrs. Me and Aldo did not know where to go. I escaped here alone. While he was speaking, the people shouted, and another branch of the army came out. Zhao Yun drew his spear and mounted his horse to see that there was a man tied to the horse in front of him, who was Mi Ju. Behind him was a general with a large sword, leading more than 1,000 troops. He was Cao Ren's general, Kun Yu, who had captured Mi Ju, and was about to take him away. Zhao Yun gave a loud shout, and with his spear and horse, he attacked Kun Yuan directly. The guide could not withstand the enemy, and was stabbed down by Yun, who then saved Mi Ju and captured two horses. Yun invited Mrs. Gan to get on her horse, killed a big road, and sent straight to Chongban Castle. I saw Zhong Fei cross the spear and stand on the bridge, shouting, Zilong, how do you against my brother? Yun said, I cannot find the master mother and little master, so behind, why say against it? Fei said, if not for Jane Young first come to report, I see you today. How can you stop? Cloud said. Where is the Lord? Fei said. Only not far in front. Yun said to Mi Ju. Mi Zizhong to protect Mrs. Gan first, wait for me to find Mrs. Me and the little master to go. After that, he led several horses back to the old road. As he was walking, he saw a general with an iron spear in his hand, and a sword on his back, leading a dozen or so horsemen to come. Zhao Yun didn't say a word and went straight for the general. After one round, he stabbed the general down, and all the riders left. It turned out that the general was Cao Cao's sword-carrying general, Shahuan. Cao Cao had two swords, a Yishan and a Qingyang. He wore the Yishan himself, and the Qingyang was worn by Shahuan. The sword was as sharp as iron. At that time, Shahuan was so proud of his bravery that he went behind Cao Cao's back and led people to loot and plunder. He did not want to run into Zhao Yun, and was killed by him with a spear. He took the sword and saw the word embedded in gold on the target, and realized that it was a precious sword. Yun inserted his sword and raised his spear, and then he entered the siege, recalling that none of his men had ridden with him, and he was left alone. Yun did not have the slightest intention of retreating, but only looked around. But when he met the people, he asked for news of Mrs. Me. Suddenly a person pointed out that Mrs. holding the child, the left leg of the gun, cannot walk, only in front of the wall, lack of sitting on the ground. Zhao Yun heard, and quickly pursued. I saw a home, was burned by the fire, bad earth wall. Mrs. Me holding Ardo, sitting under the wall of the withered well of the side crying. Yun quickly dismounted, and bowed to the ground. Mrs. sighed, concubine to see General Ardo have life. Hope General pity his father wandering half a lifetime. Only this blood. General can protect this son. Teach him to see his father's face. I die without hate. Cloud said. Mrs. Suffering, Cloud's sin. No need to say more, please Mrs. on the horse. Cloud from the death of the battle on foot, to ensure that Mrs. through the siege. Mrs. Mi said, "Not. General, how can no horse? This son depends on General to protect him. Concubine has been seriously injured. Death is not worth it. I hope that General quickly hold the son to go. Do not take my concubine as a tired also," Yuan said. "The shouts are approaching. The pursuers have arrived. Please quickly get on the horse." Mrs. Mi said, "It is really difficult for me to go. Don't make two mistakes." She handed Ardo to Zhao Yun and said, "This son's life depends on General." Zhao Yun asked his wife to get on her horse 3 times, but she refused to do so. The 4 sides shouted again. Yun said in a stern voice, "Madam does not listen to my words. If the pursuing army arrives, what can we do?" Mrs. Mi was abandoned Ardo on the ground, turned over into a dry well and died. A later poem praised her, saying, "The battle general is all based on the horsepower. How can I support the young king on foot? He risked his life to save Liu's heir, but his courage and determination were not enough for a female husband." When Zhao Yun saw that his wife was dead, he was afraid that Cao's army would steal her body, so he pushed down the earth wall and covered the withered well. After he was finished, he unlocked his armor, put down the mirror, held Ardo in his arms, and mounted his horse with his spear. There was a general who led a group of infantry to arrive, which was Cao Hong's general Yan Ming, holding a 3-pointed, 2-bladed sword to fight Zhao Yun. Not 3 rounds. By Zhao Yun a gun stabbed down, kill scattered troops, rushed to open a road. In the middle of walking, another branch of the army blocked the road in front of him. In front of him was a general with a distinctive banner reading Heishan Zhonghe. Yun didn't reply. He put up his spear and fought. After about 10 rounds, Yun didn't dare to fight and took the road. When Zhonghe came behind him, Yun increased his whip, but he didn't want to jolt and fall into a pit with his horse and person. When Zhonghe came to stab him with his spear, a red light suddenly rolled up from the pit, and the horse jumped out of the pit with a flat leap. A later poem reads, "Red light covers the body and traps the dragon flying, and the horse rushes away from the siege of Chongban. 42 years of true destiny of the Lord." The general was made to show his divine power. When Zhonghe saw this, he retreated in terror. As Zhao Yun was leaving on his horse, 2 generals behind him shouted, "Zhao Yun, don't go away." In front of them, there were 2 generals, using 2 kinds of weapons, blocking the way. The ones behind them were Mo Yan and Zhongyi, and the ones in front of them were Zhao Tou and Zhongnon. All of them were Yuan Shao's generals. Zhao Yun fought against the 4 generals, but Cao's army came together. Yun drew his green sword and slashed at them, and when his hands rose, his armor flattened and blood gushed like a spring. He killed all the generals, and then penetrated the siege. Cao was on top of Mount Jing when he saw a general who was so powerful that he asked who he was. Cao Hong flew his horse down the mountain and shouted, "The army generals can leave their names." Yun answered and said, "I am Changshan Zhao Zilong also." Cao Hong reported back to Cao Cao. Cao Cao said, "He's a tiger general. I shall honor him with my life." Cao Cao said, "I'll take him alive." So he ordered Pegasus to send a message to all places. "If Zhao Yun arrives, don't shoot arrows, just catch him alive." Therefore, Zhao Yun was able to escape from this disaster. This was also the result of Ardu's good fortune. This kill, Zhao Yun embraced the master, straight through the siege, cut down to big flags, seized the long lance 3. Before and after the gun stab sword cut, kill Caoying famous generals more than 50 members. Posterity has a poem, blood-stained robes through the armor red, when the son who dares to fight. The only one who dared to fight with him in Dangyang was Changshan Zhao Zilong. Zhao Yun killed through the siege, has left the battlefield, blood-stained robes. In the middle of the line, the hill and crashed out of 2 branches of the army. Is Xiahou General Zhong Jin, Zhong Shen brothers, a big axe, a halberd. Shouting, Zhao Yun quickly dismounted to be bound. It's exactly. I just escaped from the tiger's cave, but I met the dragon's pool again. After all, Zilong how to escape, and listen to the next decomposition. But Zhong Jin, Zhong Shen to people stopped Zhao Yun to fight. Zhao Yun stood up his spear, and then stabbed. Zhong Jin was the first to swing a big axe to meet. The 2 horses met. The battle was not 3 rounds. By the Cloud stabbed off the horse, seized the road and left. Behind the Zhong Shen halberd rushed, hostile. The halberd only in the back of the heart of Zhao Yun's shadow. Yun quickly turned his horse's head, just as the 2 chests beat each other. With his left hand, Yun held his spear over the halberd, and with his right hand, he drew out his sword and cut it in half with his helmet and brain, and Xiong fell off his horse and died. While the rest of the soldiers ran away, Zhao Yun was able to get away and looked at the Chongban bridge, but he heard shouts from behind, and it turned out that Wen Li was leading his troops to the bridge. When Zhao Yun reached the bridge, he was exhausted. When he saw Zhong Fei standing on the bridge with his spear, he shouted, "Yide, help me." Fei said, "Zilong, hurry up, I'll take care of the pursuers." Yun long horse across the bridge, traveling more than 20 miles, siege Wanda and the people resting under the tree. Yun dismounted and crouched on the ground and cried. Zhuanda also sobbed. Yun gasped and said, "Zhao Yun's crime, 10,000 deaths is still light. Mrs. Mi was seriously injured, refused to get on her horse, and threw herself into a well to die. So Yun had to push an earth wall to cover it up. Embracing the sun, the body broke through the siege. Relying on the Lord's blessing, fortunately got away. Appropriately, the sun is still crying in his arms. This while no movement, more than cannot be guaranteed. So the solution to see, the original Adu is asleep and not awake." Cloud said, "Fortunately, the sun is unhurt." Both hands and Zhuanda took, threw it to the ground and said, "For you this child." Several loss of one of my generals, Zhao Yun was busy to the ground to pick up Ardo. Sobbing worship said, "Cloud, although the liver and brain cannot be avenged." A later poem said, "A flying tiger came out of Cao Cao's army, and a small dragon slept in Zhao Yun's arms. There was no way to comfort his loyal subjects, so he threw his own son in front of his horse." But when Ji led his troops to chase Zhao Yun to the Chongban Bridge, where he saw Zhong Fei with a tiger's beard, eyes wide open, and a snake spear in his hand, standing on the bridge, and saw the dust rising from the woods east of the bridge, suspecting an ambush. So he stopped his horse, and did not dare to come near. However, Cao Ren, Li Dian, Xiahou Dun, Xiahou Yuan, Le Jin, Zhong Liao, Zhong Qi, Su Chu and so on have arrived. Seeing Fei's angry eyes and spear, standing on the bridge, and fearing that it was Juge Kongming's plan, they dared not approach. They were afraid that it was Juge Kongming's plan, so they didn't dare to come near. When Cao Cao heard about it, he hurriedly mounted his horse, and came back from the formation. Zhong Fei opened his eyes, and saw the rear army's green umbrella cover, banner and battle-axe flags come. "I think Cao Cao is suspicious, personally to see." Fei Nai said in a loud voice, "I am Zhong Yide, a Yan man, who dares to fight me to the death." The sound was like thunder. When Cao Cao's troops heard it, they all shuddered. Cao Cao ordered him to remove his umbrella cover, and looked back at his left and right and said, "I've heard Yuan Chong say that in an army of millions of men, Yuan would take the head of a general as if it were in a bag. Today we meet. Do not take the enemy lightly. Words have not been. Zhong Fei eyes open and drink said. Yan people Zhong Yuan here. Who dares to fight to the death? When Cao Cao saw Zhong Fei's vigor, he was tempted to retreat. When Fei saw Cao Cao's rear troops moving, he held up his spear and shouted, "Why don't you fight? Why don't you retreat?" Shouting before the end, Cao Cao's side Shahu your shock liver and gallbladder broken, fell under the horse. Cao Cao then returned to his horse and left. Then all the generals of the army all looked west and ran away. It is, yellow-mouthed children, how to hear the sound of thunder. Sick woodcutter, difficult to hear the roar of tigers and leopards. A time to abandon the gun-drop helmet. Countless, people like a tide, horse like a landslide, trampling each other. A later poem said, Chongban Bridge kill gas born, cross the gun, and horse eyes open. A sound like a thunderclap. Alone retreat Cao's millions of soldiers, but Cao Cao was afraid of Zhong Fei's power, so he suddenly looked to the west and fled, his crown and hairpins falling off, and his hair running away. Zhong Liao and Su Chu caught up with him and yanked on the bridle. Cao Cao was in a panic. Zhong Liao said, "Prime Minister, don't be alarmed. I think Zhong Fei one person, not enough to fear. If we hurry back to kill, Liu Bei can be captured." Cao Cao looked just a little bit more calm, was ordered to Zhong Liao, Su Chu and then to the Chongban Bridge to explore the news, and said Zhong Fei see Cao's army swarmed and retreated. Do not dare to chase. Quickly called back to the original with more than 20 riders. Remove the horse's tail branches, so that the bridge will be broken, and then back to the horse to see Zhuandi. Said that the bridge broken. Zhuandi said, "My brother is brave, but lost in the calculation." Fei asked why. Zhuandi said, "Cao Cao is very resourceful. You do not dismantle the bridge, he will be chased to carry on." Fei said, "He was my drink, backed up a few miles, why dare to chase?" Zhuandi said, "If not the bridge, they fear that there is an ambush. Do not dare to enter the army. Now break the bridge. They think I have no army and cowardly, will come to catch up. He has 1,000,000 people, although the river and Han can be filled and over, not afraid of a bridge break. So immediately get up from the small road diagonal cast Hanjin, looking at the Xinyang road, and go." Cao Cao said that Zhong Liao, Su Chu to explore the news of Chongban Bridge, returned. Zhong Fei has broken the bridge, and go, Cao Cao said. He broke the bridge and went, is the heart of cowardice. So he ordered to send 10,000 troops, quickly build 3 pontoon bridges. Only this night will be over. Li Dian said. This is afraid that Zhu Jiong's fraudulent scheme. Not lightly into. Cao said. Zhong Fei a brave man. How can there be fraud? So he passed down the order, quickly into the army. But Zhuandi traveling near Hanjin, suddenly saw the dust behind the big rise. Drums, shouts shake the ground. Zhuandi said, "There is a big river in front of us, and there are pursuers behind us. What can we do?" He urgently ordered Zhao Yun to prepare to fend off the enemy. Cao Cao ordered the army said, "Now Liu Bei kettle in the fish, trap in the tiger. If not captured at this time, such as letting the fish into the sea, indulge the tiger to return to the mountain carry on. The generals can work hard forward. All the generals lead, one by one to catch up. Suddenly behind the hillside drums, a team of military horses flew out, shouting, "I've been waiting here for a long time." The head of the general, holding a green dragon sword, sitting on a red rabbit horse, was Guan Yunchang, went to Zhongxia, borrowed 10,000 troops and horses, scouted the Battle of Chongban in Dangyang, specially intercepted from this road. Cao Cao saw Yuan Chong, that is to stop the horse review of the general said, and Zhu Jiong's plan. Cao Cao ordered his army to retreat quickly. Yuan Chong chased 10 miles, that is, back to the army to protect Zhuanda, until Hanjin. There are ships waiting. Yuan Chong invited Zhuanda and Mrs. Gan, Adu to sit in the boat. Yuan Chong asked, "How can I not see my sister-in-law?" Zhuandi told of the incident in Dangyang. Yuan Chong sighed. "In former times, when I hunted in Zushan, if I had followed my wishes, I could have avoided today's trouble," Zhuandi said. "I am at this time also throw the mouse to avoid the weaponeer. Just say between." Suddenly saw the south bank of the war drums. Boats such as ants, with the wind and sails. Zhuandi was greatly alarmed. The boat came to near, only to see a white robe and silver armor. Standing on the bow of the boat shouted, "Uncle, come back safe and sound." Little nephew offended. Zhuandi see, is Yu Che also? Che over the boat crying and said, "I heard uncle trapped in Cao Cao." Nephew came to meet. Zhuandi was delighted. So the troops together in one place. Put the boat and go. In the boat is talking about the reasons. Jiangxi south on the warships on a word set up. Riding the wind whistle too. Yu Che said, "Zhongxia troops, nephews have been all up to this carry-on. Today, there are warships blocking the way. Not Cao Cao's army. That is, Jiangdong's army. Such as how to do." Zhuanda out of the bow of the ship to see. See a person spandex towel Taoist clothes, sitting on the bow. Is Ming also? Behind the sunshine stood. Zhuandi panicked please over the boat. Asked why he was here. Ming said, "Liang since the arrival of Zhongxia, the first to make the cloud long in Hanjin landing ground and receive, I expect Cao Cao will come to catch up. The Lord will not come from Jiangling, will be oblique to take Hanjin carry on. Therefore, I specially ask the prince to first come to meet. I actually go to Xiaku, as much as possible to raise the army to come to help." Zhuandi was pleased, together as one, discussing the plan to break Cao. Ming said, "Xiaku city insurance, quite money and food, can be defended for a long time. Please the Lord, and to Xiaku Tuanyu, Duke from the return to Zhongxia, reorganize the warships, packing weapons, for the hand of the position, can withstand Cao Cao. If the total return to Zhongxia, then the momentum against the lonely," Liu Che said. "The words of the military division is very good. But I want to ask uncle temporarily to Zhongxia. Rectify the army, and horses stop, and then return to Xiaku not too late." Zhuandi said, "Your nephew's words are also true." So he left Yuan Chong to lead 5,000 troops to guard Xiaku. Zhuanda, Ming, and Liu Che all threw themselves into Zhongxia. But Cao Cao saw Yuan Chong in the dry road to lead the army intercepted, suspected ambush, do not dare to come to catch up. But also afraid of the waterway first by Zhuanda captured Jiangling, then Starry Night troops to Jiangling too. Deng Yi, the governor of Jingzhou, and Yu Xian, the other governor, were already aware of what was happening in Xiangyang, and expected that they would not be able to resist Cao Cao. So they led Jingzhou's army and people out of the city to surrender. Cao Cao entered the city. The people have been settled, released Han Song's prisoners, and added to the great Honglu. The rest of the officials were rewarded. Cao Cao and the general said. Now Liu Bei has cast Zhongxia. Fear of association with the East Wu is a breeding ground. When what plan to break it? Zhen Yu said, I am now a large force. Send an envoy to the east of Jiangdong. Sun Quan will be invited to hunt in Zhongxia to capture Liu Bei, the land of Jingju, and forever allied. Sun Quan will be surprised to come down. Then my thing is good, fuck from its plan. One side of the diabolical envoys to go to the east of Wu. One side of the counting point horse foot and water army total of 830,000. Fraudulently claimed that 1 million land and water. Boat riding double line. Along the river, west even Jing, Zia. East of Erb, Huang, Sai fence liaison of more than 300 miles. Words are divided into two, but said Sun Quan Jiangdong, troops chasing county. Heard Cao Cao's army to Xiangyang. Liu Zhen has surrendered, and now the night and day to take Jiangling is to set all the strategists to discuss the strategy of defense. Lu Su said, Jingju and the neighboring countries, rivers and mountains, rich people. I've according to and have this empress capital also. Now Liu table new death, Liu Bei new defeat. Su please be ordered to Zhongxia morning. Because Liu Bei said Liu table to pacify the Liu table generals, with one heart and one mind, to break Cao Cao. Bei happy and from the order. Then the big thing can be determined. Quan happy from his words, that sent Lu Su gift to Zhongxia morning. But Zhuandi to Zhongxia and Kongming, Liu Qi discussed good strategy. Kongming said, Cao Cao's power is so big that it is difficult to resist the enemy. Why don't we go to the east Wu Sun Quan as a support, so that the north and south are held? I am equal to take advantage of the center, why not? Zhuandi said, Jiangdong characters very much. There will be a far-reaching plan, and willing to be compatible. Kongming laughed and said, today's gymnastics attracted millions of people. The tiger entrenched in Jianghan, Jiangdong, and cannot make people come to find out the realities. If someone comes here, Liang borrowed a sail wind until the Jiangdong, with 3 inches of tongue, said the north and south armies are next to each other. If the southern army wins, together to kill Cao Cao to take the land of Jingju. If the northern army wins, then I take advantage of the situation to take the south of the Yangtze River can also, Zhuandi said. This theory is very high, but how to get Jiangdong people to? Just say, people reported Jiangdong Sun Quan sent Lu Su to morning. The ship has been evening shore. Kongming laughed and said, the big thing is done. Then asked Liu Che said, in the past, when Sun Ce died, Xiangyang had sent people to mourning or not? Che said, Jiangdong and my family have killed my father, and can pass the celebration of hanging gift. Kongming said, however, Lu Su's come, not for mourning, is to explore the military situation also. Xue said. Zhuandi said, Lu Su too. If you ask Cao Cao movement, the Lord only pushed you not know. Ask again and again. The Lord only said can ask Zhujiang. The plan will be finalized, so that people to meet Lu Su. Lu Su entered the city to mourn, received gifts. Liu Che invited Su and Zhuandi to meet. After the ceremony, invited into the back hall to drink wine, Su said, long heard of Uncle Wang's great name, no chance to meet. Now fortunate to see. It is really gratifying. Recently heard that Uncle Wang and Cao Cao will fight. Must know their reality. Dare to ask about the geometry of the army. Zhuandi said, preparation of small soldiers and fewer generals. I heard that the fuck to that is to go. Actually do not know their reality. Lu Su said, I heard that Uncle used Juge Kongming's plan. 2 fires burned Cao Cao's soul and fear. Why say do not know? Zhuandi said, unless you ask Kongming, we'll know its details, Su said. Kong Ming in. I would like to see him. Yuan asked Kong Ming to come out to meet him. After seeing Kong Ming, Su asked, I have admired your talents and virtue, but I have not met you. I am glad to meet you now, and I would like to hear about the current situation, Kong Ming said. Cao Cao's treacherous plan. Liang has been fully aware of, but hate the force is not enough, so and avoid it, Su said. Wang Shu will stop here. Kong Ming said, I have an old relationship with Wu Chen, the governor of Kangwu, so I will go and join him, Su said. Wu Chen gain less soldiers, since they cannot protect. How can they tolerate people? Kong Ming said, although Wu Chen place is not enough to live for a long time, now we can temporarily rely on it. There are other good plans, Su said. General Sun Tiger 6 counties, soldiers find food, and very respect for wisdom and courtesy, the heroes of the Zhongwu table. More than to adhere to it. Today for the gentleman plan. If you want to send the hearts to tie the East Wu, in order to work together to achieve great things, Kong Ming said. Liu Ambassador and General Sun since no old. I am afraid of false words, and I don't have anyone else to send. Su said. Mr. S. brother is now a staff officer of Zhengdong. They hope to meet with Mr. Su is not talented. I would like to see General Sun with the public to discuss major issues, Zhuanda said. Kong Ming is my teacher, cannot be separated from each other in a moment, and can go. Su firmly asked Kong Ming to go with him. Zhuandi pretended not to allow. Kong Ming said, the matter is urgent, please be ordered to line. Only then did Zhuandi promise. Lu Su then left Zhuanda. Liu Che and Kong Ming boarded the boat, looking at chasing County 2. Precisely, only because huge flatboat to go, resulting in Cao's soldiers once rest. I don't know how Kong Ming went after all. Let's see the following decomposition.